All right, you guys, welcome back. Welcome back. We're going to do another photo carve real quick. This is for Pete. Hit me up on Facebook. I appreciate you for giving me the opportunity to kind of give you some pointers on what I do. Remember, you got to remember this, guys. This is what I do. I don't give you guys any of my settings for my machine itself. Um, I'm not going to give you any tool paths as far as any files with tool paths. These are all going to be, I'll give you the images and I'll give you my settings for the tool bits. But feeds and speeds, that's all on you guys, man. That's up to your machine, how comfortable you are pushing it. I like to push mine. It's a Winfinity. Um, it's pretty stiff. I have a spindle, so and it's water cooled. So, anyways, let's get back to this. Like I said, I'm going to give you images, settings, and just kind of walk you through kind of. And you guys might be already doing this. This is just for those who maybe are trying to figure out how to edit photos and stuff. These are the things I do. So, and bear with me. I'm not a podcaster or anything like that. So I just have a microphone set up, my screen. Let's get going. So I'm bringing it into this app. This is Topaz AI. It's an upscaler. It has all kinds of other stuff. I just wanted to make the photo bigger. That's all it's for. So I'm going to bring in my photo, and this is a photo that Pete wants me to show him how I set up. And as it's setting up, you're going to see there's nothing wrong with AI. I use it. You know, this is art, digital art, right? So I'm not gonna sit here and go into that whole argument on art and AI and woodwork. We're using tools. They're called tools. So that's that. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But basically, I'm just gonna use it to upscale the photo, and it's taking a minute because let me go ahead and shut this down. Let me shut that down. And this thing is taking its sweet time, and I apologize, but bear with me. Hey, how come everybody's got a picture like that dude back there? That's kind of cool. But we're gonna upscale this one, and not that big. Standard, save. Okay, well that's saving. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that into and you can use any of the upscalers. If the photos of already a large enough, um, if it you can do it with smaller photos. I already have these things. I'm gonna use them. This is what I do. So you can skip all this if you have a photo that you already like. But I'm filming these because this is what I do. So um, once that's done, I'll bring that photo into another app, and you can do this in any photo editor. This one just is one that has a bunch of presets that does black and white photos, and it's called Silver Effects Pro. I don't get paid for any of this stuff. This is stuff I've purchased. So let's go ahead and just open up the image that we're gonna work with here. And I'm not sure if it's even done saving. We'll see. We'll see real quick here, or I'll look like a moron. Okay, so it already brings it in, turns it into a grayscale, um, and so this is a large photo, and basically these are just presets, you know. And I have a few that I kind of pick that I already have as favorites. I'm looking for things that are gonna help brighten the picture a little bit. Nah, it's too bright. We want to keep some of the details, some of the shading. The shading is always kind of nice, especially when we are going to carve with he wants this on a 7 by 9 inches. So we're going to need to go with a 30-degree bit, probably. That's pretty small. And so in order to get that detail, we need to make sure we have a picture that's going to give us the kind of detail that we're looking for. So what I look for in a photo, and I'm not sure if you guys can see my mouse, but in a photo here, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that the faces and the background there's contrast. This is a good picture to start with. There's good lighting. Um, there's contrast between all their clothing. You know, they don't have matching stuff. So these are things that work out. Usually when I ask a customer to send me over photos, I tell them to pick 3 or 4 that they really like. Their first, tell me which one they really want, and if I can make that happen, that's what I work with. But a lot of times, well, not a lot of times. Sometimes you get there's just some photos that are just not going to be. They might like it. I'm not gonna put my stamp of approval on it. But I mean, if that's what they ultimately want me to work with, I'll do it. But you do enough of these, you kind of start seeing, just start looking at pictures like, oh, that'll be a really great photo carve or whatnot. And I'm sure people that design stuff in 3D and all that stuff do the same thing with, oh, that we could do that. That'll be easy to do. They're good at that stuff. I'm not. This is what I can do. This is what I'm good at. So I'm good at spotting things that. So it really just comes down to it. Like I would probably remove that fire extinguisher back there. I don't know. I mean, I guess not. But those are things that you would do. Like I've removed like beer bottles, things like that. I'm not trying to talk about anything like that in this video, but photo editing, trash cans, things on the floor. Sometimes you can help your client out or the person you're going to give this as a gift to. Maybe it's the only photo you had that you really liked, and it had some things that you didn't like. You can remove those things, and photo editing allows you to do that. Anyways, here's where we're at. I'm going to go ahead and go with this this tone, and so I'll just go ahead and save that. And then let me go ahead and close Topaz out. Try to save as much RAM. Sorry guys, I know this is a little bit of a process here, but in the meantime, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and start a new project. Let me go ahead and close this one. No, I'm not going to save that. I'm good. And opening up a new file. He wanted to go 7 by 9, so 7 is going to be the width, 9 is going to be the height. I'm not worried about the thickness. Let's go ahead and change that. So I'm not going to go over too much of the settings. It was mostly about the setup, but what I really want to talk about is, let's go ahead and get this picture imported. And so this is going to be resized, and it's going to be, that is horrible. Nick, what were you thinking? Oh, it must be some sort of effect. Let's, what was that? That was not very cool. Maybe that's the photo. It might be. Wow. Let's try something else. Is that the photo? Yeah. Let's redo it. Let's see how quickly we can redo this. So let's. All right. I'm not sure where we left off on that last one. I had to stop the video, the photo after I resized it and ran the AI. When you zoom in, you start seeing these artifacts, and so I was wondering if there was like a filter that was already applied pre-email that he sent me, and then I went and redid it, and no, it's the photo. So I thought it was maybe like a filter, like it was applying some sort of texture, but it's not. This is actually what is in the photo. So it's just magnifying the really low resolution of the photo. It kind of cleaned up the faces a little bit. But what ends up happening is, because all this area over here that's like a texture, instead of being smooth, it's a texture. So then when I go to Photocarve it, when I go to do the toolpath and run it, let's go ahead and rerun it again so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is with a 30-degree Vbit. The spacing on this one is that it's a 30-degree Vbit, 0.05 depth, 100% spacing. And so you can see you get a lot of detail, but it just doesn't quite look right. And what it is when you zoom in, and this is what I want to show you, that texture, even though it doesn't really, you can't really see it, you can. Check it out. So these lines here should just be a lot smoother. You see those, you see how these lines in the black are they're not even as smooth as they can be. I'm talking about just like a laser thin line. But you can almost kind of see that that texture is kind of appearing in, it disappears, right? But it makes the background, it's going to give it a texture. And so we need to get a better, you can run this carve, right? You can do it with these settings, with a 30-degree Vbit. But these other lines, the lines that it's where it's supposed to be light, it's going to start showing that other texture. So it's up to you, man. Worst case scenario, if the customer said, hey, they absolutely had to have it, or this was the only photo. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure that I can go in and kind of paint things or clean them up a little bit. Um, but man, it would just be nice to start off with a better picture. But yeah, man, I tried, bro. Not every photo is going to be perfect. We can try. Let's do this. We got a few more minutes here. Let's zoom out. I mean, the photo is the photo, right? So and you can see as we zoom out, it kind of gives it like a weird texture because of the texture it has on it. But let's go ahead and run another Vcarve. Let's do 0.07 and maybe a little bit 111. Let's try that. Let's just see what it looks like. Sometimes you get lucky. Um, Sometimes you don't. We'll see. Yeah, see, the spacing on that, it's just too wide. On that small of a project, it's only 7 inches wide. So you lose a lot of detail. Even with a 30-degree V-bit, you lose a lot of detail. Let's actually take this back down to, let's do the 30-degree V-bits. I tend not to go too much lower than 90 in the 90s. I just don't have the best of luck. But let's try it at a 94. Let's just redo it. But I mean, I would have preferred to have a better picture. Sometimes you don't have a choice, but there's only so much you can do. Let's see how this turns out. And it'd be cool if it just came out real sharp. And see, that's not bad either. I mean, it's doable. Um, this is really going to come down to how good you are at sanding. You have space. There's space. This is actually not too bad. And the reason I would be concerned is when you go to see like all down here where this is all black, you're going to sand. When you run your sander over that, if you sand any of this area, you're going to sand off the black. So, and same thing down in these areas. You have to move really quick with your sander in these dark areas, um, or else you're going to put a detail in these pants that it's not there. And same thing goes for up here. If you spend too much time sanding any of these thin lines, they're just going to become wider and wider and wider. And they're going to look like you carved them at 115% spacing or 111. Remember the one we did just previously? You can actually recreate that. So you only want to take off the bare minimum off the top. I mean, if you can just scrape the paint off, try it. Um, but the finishing process of the shellac and then the house paint, I found to be the most forgiving and the most consistent. So yeah, I mean, you can run this carve. I mean, the photo we didn't do ourselves any help with that photo. I tried running it through AI behind the scenes. It was just taking too long, so I didn't want to record it. But I couldn't really get it to look any better. I farted around with the different adjustments and even made it look to where it was like almost plastic, and I still couldn't get rid of the artifacts in the background. I'm sure there's technical names. I'm not a professional photo editor here, but um, that's unfortunately what I've come across. So this is, I mean, if you want to run it with a 60 or a 30-degree V bit, 7 by 9. And if you carve this on a larger material, you can actually get it to look a lot better. The smaller you get, the, the less room you have for detail. Because it's got to fit it all in there. This is only 7 inches tall or 9 inches tall. Anyways, zero point zero 0.07 depth inches, retract 0.04, 30-degree Vbit. It's a raster. This setting I have it down at 94. I wouldn't go any closer. You're starting to get into an area where if you sand, you're going to lose all your detail. Um, I prefer to stay closer to the 100 range. Um, I would definitely start sanding on this with like a 220. I definitely wouldn't start with a 120 where I normally sand with. 220 to sand, shellac, all that fun stuff. House paint. Make sure it's really dry. Make sure it's dry before you sand it. There's times I sand when the paint's still a little gummy, but that's only because I'm only removing the slightest little bit. And so as long as I'm not pressing hard, I can actually sand paint that's still a little bit tacky. I recommend something like on this where we need to make sure it's completely dry. So a couple really thin coats of paint um, is what I would recommend. And you can see in some of my videos from the actual finishes, you know, that how quick I move the sander. But you'll also notice I don't do a whole lot of small ones. You lose a lot of detail, and the price is not that much different. If you're going to carve something bigger that they're going to be happier with, you know, the extra $10 that you're not making, it's not worth it, man. Just make them something they're going to be happier with. But 7 by 10 or 7 by 9, that's what this is. Anyways, you guys have a great one. Um, Hit me up, Pete, if you have any questions. But yeah, I mean, if we had a better picture, we can fine tune it. It'll look good in person. Um, it's just it could be better. That's all. But yeah, man, those are the settings I would run. I would run that 30. All right, man. Have a good day. Take care.